In this video, I'm going to be telling you all of the engine oil leaks, all of the mechanical issues that you might encounter, and common misconceptions, I guess. This is everything about the YS23 engine, the Renault engine, which sucks. Okay, in today's video, I thought we would go over everything about this big bad boy engine in here. This is a twin turbo 2.3 liter inline 4 turbo diesel. These came out in 2015 and up until now, so about 10 years now. And it's a Renault Nissan collaboration engine. These were in the vans, I think for Renault, these were in the vans. And they were actually mounted as a front wheel drive variant, I believe. All right, we're gonna start this video off with all the engine oil leaks. This is gonna be your biggest problem with this car. This is a French engine. And if you know anything about French engines, you know that they leak oil, especially the diesel ones. So the first engine oil leak that you're gonna encounter on any single nav, NP300 owners will know that this is a big issue. Let me show you. The first engine oil leak is gonna be from this top pipe. This is called the top turbo pipe. Now these cars came in single and twin turbo variants, but this pipe is essentially gonna be the leakiest point. It's gonna create a puddle right here. You can see where my pinky is, a puddle of oil there. And essentially what that does is it drips down the back of the engine, and oil always goes down and backwards. So oil is gonna look like everywhere. It's gonna look like a rear main, but this is the most important one to check first. It's the most common one. I've done hundreds of them at work. So that is the most common place that you're gonna see the engine oil leaks on the navs. Let's go on to number two. Number two is real close. Number two is actually real close to number one that I just showed you. Number two is going to be what I call the low pressure intake pipe to airbox pipe. So essentially you have this rubber piece here that goes off the airbox rubber piece, and it is hard to see, but down here we have a plastic piece. Basically, I would recommend just go have a look at your own car, but this plastic piece goes into the low pressure turbo and it has 2 bolts. Now, funnily enough, these 2 bolts actually have come out from factory on some navs because of the oil, because of the pressure, I'm not sure, but I've seen brand new navs with these 2 bolts or one of them fall out, and that creates a bad leak. And the way that all the Renault seals are, they're just really poorly designed, poorly engineered. So that is going to be number 2 on the oil leak. Let's move on to number 3. Cool. So I do apologize if this is hard to see, but down here, right there, this pipe is called the throttle body pipe, and this goes to the passenger side. You can see, let me change this torch to pinpoint. So we have this pipe right here, goes to a clip here, and this is a rubber hose, okay? Sometimes they do leak right here, but majority of cases they're leaking from the actual turbo intake throttle body, okay? So you have this plastic pipe here, and this is known to leak right from this seal here. And because of all the soot and EGR recirculation, this sensor right here is known to pretty much destroy itself and crack and break. So there is several different manufacturers that make a pipe exactly for this reason. And if that sensor does fail, it will chuck your car into limp mode. So that is another point for an engine oil leak. I'm going to show you another engine oil leak that is common but is a massive job. It's the injector O-ring. Now, it is kind of hard to spot, but let's say you've already replaced and cleaned up your top turbo pipe leak, then it could be an injector pump O-ring, which means in most cases engine out or body off the chassis, which is not fun, all right? But what I recommend doing is degreasing your whole underneath, whole up top of the vehicle, and having a proper look to see if this is the case. The only way you'd be able to tell it is if you put the vehicle on a hoist and check through where the dump pipe is, and you kind of look from the driver's side past the dump up towards the top of the bell housing, and you can see there's a black plate on the back of the injector pump, and you can see if that bit is leaking and it leaks down the back. It is hard to spot, but you can tell. You can tell if it's an injector pump O-ring, which is a really, really shit job, and you can't do it at home. You need a hoist, you need a workshop. All right, so that's another kind of one that I've seen. I've done a couple of them. So I already talked about the top turbo pipe leaking. Now, do the turbos leak? The answer is yes. So the high pressure turbo I've replaced on other customers' car at the shop maybe 5-6 times in my career, which is a 5-year career. But that has happened and I have seen it. So this is where it leaks from. This is going to be hard to pinpoint again, but the way to check this is if you've got no puddle on top. Oh, my light's dying, which really sucks. If you've got no puddle on top here, you can see where I'm blinking. No, if you've got no puddle there, then you need to come through your wheel arch and you need to check right here. Now you can see this gasket, kind of hard to see, but there is a housing gasket inside. Now for whatever reason, Nissan doesn't make a gasket for the turbos, they come as one piece. But basically it is a housing seal leak, top turbo housing seal leak, which you probably could do at home. Oh, my light's going crazy, I need to charge it. You probably could do it at home, but it isn't recommended. The heat shield at the back is really shit to get off, and you have to take off both turbos to do the top turbo. But that is another oil leak for you guys. If you guys have encountered any other leaks, let me know in the comment section below. I'm really interested to see what other leaks you've got in other countries, maybe US or UK have different oil leaks to us in Oz. But let's go on to the next oil leak. The next oil leak that you can get with the YS23 is a timing cover. All right, so the timing cover is here. All right, it is kind of hard to see with all this stuff on, but it is easier when the vehicle is on the hoist or you don't have bash plates to check. But that is another common one. The last one that I'm gonna say to you guys is that the engine oil sump and rear main. If it looks like you've got a rear main, which can be misdiagnosed very easily on these cars because of the several oil leaks at the top of the vehicle. If you do a rear main, you might as well do oil sump reseal, because it is really hard to do an oil resump seal when the bell housing is in the way. All right, so in the most cases, the oil sumps reseal is a sealant, and the same as the timing cover, it's a sealant. All right, there's no gaskets involved. So make sure you do it properly if you're gonna do it yourself, and make sure you check it. The way to sort of check it is to degrease. Well, it's kind of like a rule of thumb, right? If you're doing an engine oil inspection, you get an oil leak on the ground, on your garage floor, whatever it is, the best way to check it and to diagnose it yourself is to clean it with a degreaser, clean it with like water, and fully clean the oil leak. Make sure there's no residue if it's been building up for a while. And then you go for a drive. If it's leaking again, you know it's a fast leak, all right? And do it like that and keep going until you can pinpoint the highest point in which an oil leak starts. All right, so we've gone over all the engine oil leaks that the YS23 can have. Let's go over some of the mechanical issues that you might encounter with these cars. Now, the modern day versions, the 2020s and onwards, they don't really have that much of an issue that I've seen yet, because there's been lots of revisions. But let's go into some of the older MPs, the Series 1, 2s and 3s that had issues. The things I'm going to tell everyone is that if you're having an overheating issue in an old NP, you need to check this thing. You might be able to tell right there, there's a low radiator hose. Can I get a better image of it? Right, here we go. So I'll zoom in, but there's a low radiator hose there and it has a zip tie, okay? Now, the early NPs did not have that zip tie. So if you have an older NP, 2015 to 2018, I don't know when they brought in the revision, but if you do have an older NP, check that lower radiator hose, because what it does is it rubs on the air compressor. Let's just talk about the injection pumps and injectors and stuff like that. You can get rattles, you can get injector knocks. One of the biggest issues is waters with any type of diesel, really. Any water in the injectors does kill them. Leaky injectors I've seen, I've seen on one occasion blow a hole in the piston. I've seen one occasion on that. Leak injectors are a fault and they can be faulty, but that is usually due to poor fuel. Another issue that I'm going to quickly talk about is injector phasing. The injection pump phasing I'm going to talk about quickly. So the injection pump obviously is chain and timed. The only way to fix that is by taking the timing cover off and retiming your injection pump, all right? Because it's all cam driven and chain driven. So look, something that you need to take to the mechanic to actually test out. But injection pumps can be out of time and out of phase, which I have seen, and can cause issues with your YS23. Another one that I haven't really seen too much, but timing chain stretch. While this is rare, it can, some early models were shown to have premature timing chain stretches or tension or rattle. If your engine oil changes haven't been done regularly. Now these cars are 20,000 Ks, which I would not recommend. I would do every 10,000, but Nissan and Renault are happy to do 20K, at least do 20K, but don't leave it more than that. I would recommend 10,000. That's how often I drop the oil and the oil filter, but personally, that's up to you. Next issue we're going to talk about is turbo actuator issues and turbos in general. I've seen brand new NPs with a whining turbo and just internally fault. So I'm not sure exactly what type of brand of turbo these use, but I have seen brand new NPs with a whining turbo sound. Now, let me tell you quickly, the dump pipe clamp off the low pressure turbo, basically, if that doesn't sit right, then you can have issues. So there's a flex dump pipe, basically. If you've taken it off for whatever reason, or sometimes from factory, if that's not sitting right, you will hear a whistle. It will sound like your DPF is deleted, all right? So that is another issue that you can find, but not really as often as people that have messed around with their vehicles, then they would find that issue more. But if you've got a brand new car, it's not as common. Brings me on to my next issue with these cars, DPF related blockages. This is pretty standard DPF issues that we have with all diesels. They get blocked up. They're not driven on long distance highways, which is one of the main issues with people that own these utes, that are not taking them on half an hour, 1 hour drives, which is what diesels need to stay fresh and clean. If you're just going to go to the shops and back, to gym and back, it's going to really mess up your car. And you don't even realize it, and you don't even think that's ever going to cause an issue, but it actually does. A diesel needs long highway drives to burn their DPFs off. Generally keep the diesel happy. It needs to be at high temperatures, okay? Driving diesels at cold temperatures isn't really fun for the car. I would just keep an eye on the fuel rail pressure. The fuel rail sensor has been known to go as well, so that's something to keep an eye on. What I would recommend is getting an OBD2 scanner if you can, just a cheap one. You can get these toolkit ones that you plug in and just show up on your phone. And if you can read your rail pressure, that is really good for these cars, because I don't know the exact numbers they're supposed to be at. I think it's like 320 bar or something. I guess the last thing I'm going to talk about is noisy accessories. So you've obviously got your alternator, tensioner, blah, blah, blah. If you go forward driving, you're going to encounter a noisy accessory, trust me. I don't know if it's super common in other cars, but with the MPs, the main noisy accessory that we see is an idler pulley and a tensioner pulley. These are the two main ones, but you can also have alternator pulley whine noises as well. But if you've got a noise from around this sort of area, if you've got a noise right around this sort of area, right, every time you either accelerate or start the car, it's probably because you've gone through some water or picked up some water from the road, and you need to replace the idler pulley, which is the one with the cap, and the tensioner pulley, which is the one underneath it. That is what I would recommend to replace first, and then assess from there. Those are also your cheapest accessories to replace first. So that is what I do whenever I hear someone with an MP that has a whining noise coming from the front, like near the alternator, because the alternator is a lot more expensive, all right? So you wanna do the cheaper stuff first. All right, so I think we've gone through most of the stuff. The last thing probably would be about carbon buildup. Like most diesels, they're prone to catch up. They're prone to carbon buildup, especially when you've got EGRs and stuff. If you don't have a catch can or you don't have an EGR block or whatever, you can build up a lot of shit, all right? And it can cause that throttle body pipe to sensor to pretty much poop itself. So That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you have taken something positive from the video. This is the YS23 DDTT. Like and subscribe if you're brand new. Really appreciate it. And check out the NP300 build series in the top right-hand corner. All right, or right here. It's gonna be on my face. NP300 build series. All right, now I need to get a good thumbnail, so that's always fun. My hair's looking dirty today, man. I seriously need to go Ashley Martin or something, to be honest. If you guys want to help me get monetized real quick, I can basically book my Turkey flight to get this shit fixed. Because look at this. That's bad, bro. Fuck it, put my hood up, man. I need my hat again. Alright, we need to get a good thumbnail, so